Everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
Hey, welcome back to the show. You're listening to CL 650. I'm Zach Spencer, and we're talking with the master himself, Jack McIver from McIvers Appliance and Sales and Service. And you're on 69th, you said, right?
Yeah.
Right near Ontario, 69th
Yes.
in Ontario?
Yeah.
And you had a big outfit, and now you've sort of streamlined it down to what you would say is a specialty store, giving people the best possible appliances that are available today, because as we talked about in the first part, a lot of the big box stores are flooding the market with this stuff that is not very good or just good enough. So are you a kind of the thorn in the side of these guys? Is it, what's you're independent, you can make your own decisions, what's best for your clients? Is that how you look at it?
Well, not really. I don't think I'm a thorn in their side, because they are doing huge volumes. I mean, it's concentrated into some pretty, only maybe 3 big operators,
right,
for BC.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when we sell a high quality appliance, either new or rebuilt, we block those people from selling anything,
mm-hmm.
because they're not going to throw it out
Mm-hmm.
and go and buy another one from them.
Mm-hmm.
And the washers and dryers last 20, 30 years.
Right.
So we've got them covered.
They're not on that treadmill
So
of buying new all the
if I sell
time.
10,000 appliances, I'm blocking 10,000 sales to them,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because their business plan doesn't work on products lasting a long time.
They just want to sell good enough, right?
Yes.
That's good enough. Shiny enough.
Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of people get sucked into it. It looks good, right?
Yep.
And not what's really going on.
Or it's got a fictitious high price on it that they give a big discount off.
Yeah.
But it's never sold for the fictitious big price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So here we are at springtime, spring cleaning. What are your tips for spring cleaning? Is it important to get in under the fridge and have a look around? What do you suggest?
Well, the fridges that require vacuuming underneath, usually from the front, are side-by-sides and larger fridges. Can even be 2-door fridges, and how you would know that it's there is you open up the door, or the doors on a side-by-side, and pop off the cover,
Mm-hmm.
and just get a flashlight and look in there. And if you can see a bunch of lint, then you would vacuum it out. Some refrigerators have them at the rear, under a cover,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good to do once a year. Now we recommend putting it on the calendar,
Mm-hmm.
so that you do that at that time. And also, because the cost and the quality of the door seals aren't like they used to be, we recommend that you wash around the face of the where they make contact on the fridge, because a lot of times they get sticky, and then every time you open the door, you're pulling the gasket, and then it rips it.
Right.
So just doing that can save you probably $500. And then also, if that lint under the fridge builds up over a long period of time, it can kill the compressor. Excuse me.
So what about if you don't have one of those fridges where you can access it? What's your advice then?
Well, that is maybe something from China,
right,
or whatever. You'd have to lean it back.
Right.
But most of the North American refrigerators are accessible.
So is it a door seal can be replaced? Is it easy to put on, or is it still best to stick with the original seal?
Well, some of the seals now will pull out if it gets sticky. They pull right out from the door.
Right.
Because they go in they push in with a V.
Right.
Into a strip.
Into a channel, strip. Right?
Yep. And others are still under screws.
So What other spring cleaning tips do you have for energy savings? What about improper venting? For this is we're talking about dryers right now, right? So you have these Speed Queen built dryers that we're going to talk about in a moment, but this applies to all dryers, right?
Yes. Well, the dryer situation really comes up when you find that the dryer is taking too long to dry the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And one way to check about the venting is to take the venting off behind the dryer and then try running it and see if it improves. If it improves, then you know your dryer is venting's restricted somehow.
So
now,
would running that inside the home for one cycle, that wouldn't do too much damage, would it? No. I mean, getting moisture inside the home.
Well, if it's plugged, the moisture's
going in
out
there anyway, right? Yeah.
So, but anyway, now we were talking about go to the situation when for instance, our company delivers a dryer to replace it, or a washer and dryer. We get everything installed properly and hooked up, and we hook the venting up, turn the dryer on, and walk outside and see what's happening out there where the vent comes out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get some really big surprises, like a big pile of wood in front of it, blocking it.
See, a lot of people store stuff against their home,
Plywood leaning against it,
yeah.
You know, a whole bunch of things like that. Or you can see a Home Depot or other box store vent hood, a plastic one, with a screen built into it that's plug solid. There are more problems caused with venting. I see that in houses. You can walk by and you can see the things plugged up in the air, mm-hmm. because they have a screen in them.
So what do you suggest?
We have always used only metal vent hoods, built in Canada out of galvanized steel. They're kind of heavy, with a damper that blows open when the dryer goes and closes tight when it's not.
So it's just a flap.
Yeah, but it's the full width of the
hose, right?
And they have a much better air allowance that gets out than the plastic stuff.
A lot of times you see these dryer vents that are basically a big sort of telescopic tube made out of plastic with wire in it, right? It's a flexible hose. And it just to me never really made sense that would be the best way to evacuate air, because they could collect lint along the way, couldn't it?
Well, like the only way we use that, we use no plastic, we use aluminum type, is we just use it to hook up at the dryer.
For a short run, right?
Just a short one, so that there's some flex there, so you don't, it doesn't kink off. And but galvanized pipe is the proper.
And you were saying insulating
a long run.
Yeah.
A long run of that, the air slows down.
So you were saying that insulating, and I wouldn't have thought that you would want to insulate it because you're not trying to conserve energy, but you were telling me that you want to keep it warm, which is important. Why?
Well, it's only if it's only outside the house.
Yeah, or going through an attic or something, right?
Anywhere where it's cool, mm-hmm. because venting, like for instance, we were talking about what we do when we go out and find no air coming out when we go check the dryer. Well, on this situation, that was some plastic pipe, like you're talking about, flex, mm-hmm. running 20 feet under a porch to the outside of the porch, and a hole in a plastic vent hood there. So when I went out to check it, I put my hand on it, there wasn't anything coming. Mm. So we just left the venting off, the dryer, and told them to use it, and then we came back to resolve the problem and blew the vent. And so we took the flex off, blew the vent out, got a garbage bag full of lint out of it.
Wow.
And then we shortened up this run by coming straight out to the front of the house, mm-hmm. porch, and put one of those vent hoods I was talking to you about, and then got it all hooked up, and then wrapped it with aluminum covered insulation, and you wrap it around the pipe, and then you use aluminum tape to hold it on there.
And that's so
that keeps it warm,
yeah.
and it can run outside. But any distance at all that you run a pipe outside, if it's over 6 inches, it's going to start to get lint building up in it.
I didn't know that. That's a good piece of advice. Now, we've touched on these Speed Queen built washers and dryers. The real name is Hipsch, is that right? Am I saying it correctly?
They're called Hipsch here, but they're actually, in the United States, they're sold as Speed Queen.
Okay.
And it's a 130-year-old company that they were my first automatic washer and dryer company that I got to sell in 1965. And a year after that, I got the Maytag dealership for a Maytag. But one thing about Hipsch equipment is they've survived where Maytag didn't. Maytag went bankrupt making defective front-load laundry equipment. And all Maytag now is a name
for another company, right?
Put on junk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just terrible stuff. It's just terrible. They got propellers in the bottom of them, and
my family bought my family in Ontario bought one of these real fancy looking front load deals. All these buttons and lights that came on. It was a gong show, like 6 to 8 months into it, and they've had to buy 2 machines since then. Yeah. So they've actually gone from the front load to the top load again. And are you seeing that, people going back to the top load?
Oh yes. Well, it's a problem of there's a lot. They're just loaded with problems.
Right.
And mold and slime.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we have to take a quick break because I really want to talk about these machines and more. But I think that people will be very interested to hear about these Hipsch Speed Queen built washers and dryers and why you like them, and you've put your own personal seal on them, and that's kind of what we're talking about here today with McIvers Appliance Sales and Service there at 69th in Ontario. Is this the personal touch from Jack, the master himself, choosing these machines over other brands to give them the seal of confidence when you go to buy one. You're not going to have to worry about it, and if anything happens, you call up McIvers and they're going to come and look after it. So we'll pick up talking about these Speed Queen built washers and dryers next on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.